trust at the core isn't logical. I'm sorry, you can't say trust is logical. You can't. It's not possible to say trust is logical. And why can't you say trust is logical? Because if you have to use your logical brain, you can get tricked. If the You ever see detective movies? Oh, I trust my gut. You gotta. Otherwise, someone might run a fast one. So if someone comes in and like says, "This is wrong. This is wrong. This is wrong. This is wrong." Well, that all makes sense. Well, maybe that is all. Maybe he's wrong and he just conned you, right? Then now your own life is at stake. Like a lot of people think, oh, Islam is basically a good religion, and they forget that at the very beginning of it, Muhammad said, "Join my army of God." Okay, sounds cool. That sounds cool. Then he'd go to a village, "Join my army of God, or we will destroy your village because you are not of God." We don't want to join your gang of bloodshed. We don't you join your Ponzi scheme of human misery. Well, we will kill you. Get them. They're against God. Oh, they're against God. Let's go kill, 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 kill. They kill other people. They take their stuff. They take whatever they want from them. Slaves, prisoners. What you see in UK over there, rapists. They keep the women, and they just yeah, it's ugly. And then they got a bigger. Since some people joined, they have a bigger army now, and they have more supplies. So they go to a slightly larger village, which is also smaller than an army. Hey, how about you guys join our army of God? Hey, didn't you just destroy that last village? Why, yes, we did, because they were not of God. Hey, everybody, let's join them. It's a good recruiting tactic when you have success on killing other people. It's also called terrorism, and that's how Islam has worked for 1,400 years. But if you believe terrorism and Islam is no longer doing what they've done for 1,400 years, and they're basically nice people, well, you know what happens. You trusted them. You trust the people who want to kill you, so you're gonna die. That's how it goes. Okay, so that's why trust. Like if someone comes into your house, they give you the line. Boom, they take out your thing. What is it? Riders on the Storm by the Doors. Pick up the wrong hitchhiker. You can take out your family. Right? It's trust. It's trust. It's fight or flight. It is not all based in logic. There's multiple parts in the brain that deduce if you trust someone. There are multiple parts of the brain that you deduce to trust someone. But if you start talking about the names of the brain and what they do, you'll start sounding like Hannibal Lecter, which is not trustable, right? So trust is it's part feely. It's part logic. It's not as much logical as it is feely feel good. That's why the emotional people do pretty well on it. And why is fear a good motivator? Well, if you can trust people, you say our group is the good group and their group is the fearful group, and we want to be safe, and they push fear, and if you really get a side of, hey, fear, being afraid of people that's a positive thing. Being a coward, that's a positive trait. Our side is a bunch of cowards, and their side's all scary people. You know what? You really got them going then, because all of a sudden fear is a positive thing and they embrace it, and the whole team is like, be afraid of them guys. And that's what the left's doing to the right. You're saying, hey, we're a bunch of scary people. I mean, it's kind of funny, like, maybe, oh, they're scared of me. They're quite afraid of the hippies. Hippies are very scary people. Be afraid of my hippiness. It's scary. Flowers. When they shot us at Kent State, they probably have a reason. But like, come on, dude. It's like trust, but it's factual. Like I said, I don't want to talk about the parts of the brain. It's kind of creepy, but you have different parts of the brain to interpret, like, fight or flight, and then there's like the logical part that says, hey, does this all piece together? You know? And what happens, why fear is a good motivator, why fear sells, why fear motivates the population to do dumb things, is if they're afraid, they're going to listen to what you have to say. Be afraid of them. Listen to me. All of a sudden, hey, 2 turntables and a microphone. Where it's at, I can tell you what to do. I can ride my bike with no handlebars. That's a good song by the Flowbots. I recommend you listen to it in these days of people trying to tell you what to do. People know what I'm talking about. They know what I'm talking about. People don't know what I'm talking about. Well, there's always a guy that rises to the top and goes, shh, everybody listen to me. The left is getting it from the WEF. You can look up the World Economic Forum. They have like $66 trillion in bribe money, so they do whatever the bribe money tells them. They are literal Grown up Hitler Youth. Yeah. The Democrats are taking money from grown up Hitler Youth. So the Democrats are taking orders from people who worship Adolf Hitler. So, Democrats, when you start saying Christians and Jews aren't allowed to talk online, let's hate Christians and Jews, it's because you're getting orders from Hitler Youth. You're following Adolf Hitler, Mr. Democrat. It's hard truth. You know, when you need papers, please, to fly an airplane, COVID mandate, which is different than, say, papers, please, for voting, because if we let everybody in the world vote, we'll become the United States of China, pretty much right now. We kind of are the United States of China. We let people from China come over here, get born in here, and then they can vote, right? That's what it's called, anchor babies, they call it. You know, we let China influence our Hollywood, or our music industry, or TV. Why the news lies? I mean, the reason American culture got destroyed in 1998 and so forth and so on is China, the World Economic Forum. But enough about that. Let's get back on the main topic of trust. So trust, like I said, and I found this out by doing some research. You know, a lot of you guys know I invented your smartphone, and I'm like the father of LMAI. Yeah, I'm triggering that trust part of your brain right now. Like, what the hell is this guy talking about? But if you look me up, the designs are pretty concrete. 32 design principles that led to the iPhone, virtual keyboard, 3-button navigation, QR codes, goggles, watch, scheduler, GPS. It just goes on. Mobile cloud, just like, I got the App Store, dude. Stuff that's just like, core concepts of the smartphone. Turn the Palm Pilot to a smartphone. Ever notice how your smartphone looks a lot like a Palm Pilot? Thank James Sager. I'm the brains behind Steve Jobs. Yeah, right now, you're like, do I trust this man? He sounds like crazy yet. I did a pretty good talk earlier, And you can look me up at James Sager on X or techaform.com. TECHAFORM. Tech, like tech, letter A, and then form, FORM. And you can see some of the documents and download the 100 pages. They're signed by Carnegie Mellon. Carnegie Mellon is the home of the smartphone. And so with LMAI, every single professor I talked to in computer science, and every single one of them, computer science and robotics, they said I was wrong. They said, Jim, we're doing navigation. Natural language is going to come way last, maybe hundreds of years down the future, maybe never at all. But I'm like, just, you start with ball is round. You got an attachment, a code. You can turn that to like code, ball, and that's the property of round. You start putting properties every word, and now you encompass all the language with adverbs, adjectives, prepositions, and so forth. And now you build a language, and it should be easy to translate between them. And like, Jim, no. They told me no, right? So when I got my papers for the smartphone signed, and I think it was 2025, when I went down there, a couple of professors said, "We're sorry, Jim. You were correct. Natural language came before navigation." I'm like, of course. I gave you the designs. That's not the only time they were wrong either. I said lithium-ion car is the future of transportation in 1999. I had 3 classes. I said this in class. 30 to 50 people laughed at me. Freaking I just told a George Carlin joke or some shit. You're so crazy. This is not going to be the lithium-ion car. It's not the future. 3 different times. Because I got laughed at. I said it again. Because I know I'm right. Everybody laughs at me. I don't care. I'm still going to say it. I know I'm right. I went to the next class. I'm like, that's it. I wrote down the equation. There's 4. There was 4 lines. 4 lines of the equation. The first line said 1895 wooden Dragula style car got 40 miles a gallon. Well, if you give it a good chassis, modern engineering, better nickel cadmium batteries, you're probably going to get 80 miles to the gallon. Not to the gallon. Yeah, Jim, 80 miles to the gallon of electricity. Yeah, we trust you right now. You're talking about Gallons of electricity. Do you carry your voltage around in a jug? Can I see your electricity in a bottle? I want to see lightning in a bottle, Jim. Show me some lightning. How do you carry your lightning? Is it on your sash? Alongside your magical Merlin wand? Come on, we don't trust you anymore, Jim. You don't have gallons of electricity. No, 40-mile range, right? 40-mile range. So if you get a modern chassis, a 40-mile range of how far you can go before you run out of electricity on the old nickel cadmiums and the Dragula, old wooden chassis, wagons put together by primitives from 2 centuries ago. Yeah, but I mean, it's a big fat wagon. I mean, what are you gonna do? And they went 40 miles, right? So if you give it a modern chassis, modern engineering, you can just easily deduct it would be like around 80 miles we can go, which is a pretty good trip, if your Tesla could only go 80 miles, and it costs a lot cheaper, and you had it laying around, I mean, you'd putz it to work, putz it back. You might run it for some gig jobs, like some Uber, and then put it back on the charger. Still effective. It's cheaper to fuel up, right? But lithium ion is what. Here's the key is. It's 3.5 times as dense of an energy storage. So you have 80 miles, you multiply that by 3.5, now you're looking like 300 miles. 300-mile range, that's a real car, right? So I had like 3 lines of equations, right? Should be the easiest thing to show a professor, right? They didn't trust me. So lithium-ion cars are the future. Here's my 3 lines. And Jim, I don't know. We want to look at your thing. They made that you're getting small. Every single professor at Carnegie Mellon that I talked to in engineering and physics refused to look at 3 lines that would have showed that I was right about the lithium-ion car being the future. They didn't trust me. It just sounds weird. Jim, that just sounds weird. Now, Mark Twain has a quote. A man with a new idea is a crank until that idea succeeds. So smartphone, I had to argue with the class 3 days that the virtual keyboard was better than the graffiti. You wrote the words and it popped up, whatever. Anybody that's been to a class, it's fair debate. But me, when I'm right, I'm right. Okay? So you're talking to the guy I got laughed at for lithium-ion car being the future, still knowing it's going to be the future in 2000. That didn't faze me. Everybody can laugh at everything I say. You can have the entire world say I'm wrong. I'm like, you're all dumb. Lithium-ion car was the future. I was right. So I'm sitting in the class, and if anybody knows anything about school, anybody's gone to school, a lot of you guys have gone to school, and you sit down, and the teacher allows you to have a debate. And you're like, well, my side is this, your side is that, and it's all lovey-dovey. And they're like, well, they were saying, well, here they go. I open up, we need a virtual keyboard. Just take the BlackBerry, slap that thing on in the virtual sense, tap, 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 you're good. It's going to be harder to type on that little thing in the BlackBerry, but because it is software integrated as opposed to hardware, drop your phone more often, it won't break, and when you buy new phones, it's going to be cheaper. So we got to do it. We have to make a virtual keyboard. That's my opening line, right? What do they say? Blah, blah, blah. And then it ends up something like, we're Carnegie Mellon. Newton's handwriting recognition never worked before, but we can make it work. So which I go back is like, okay, all right, that's your best argument. So you open up with yours doesn't work. Great, thank you. And then you can make it better. Well, if we can make it better, shouldn't we have done it by now? We're Carnegie Mellon. We're a great university, but there's also MIT. There's Berkeley. There's Georgia Tech. And there's how many other dozens of above average great universities out there, right? And they're like, yeah. I said, shouldn't we have done it by now? And like, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, you're wrong. And I was basically, they're trying, you're used to lovey-dovey debate, right? You're used to lovey-dovey debate. It's cool. Like, hey, I'm a student and we like to be students here. And we're all intellectuals. I'm like, nah, this is the way it's done. This is how it has to be. I experienced thousands of Commodore 64 loading menuing systems. I even knew 1998 websites were wrong, right? So I basically they were mad at me. There were some people that were absolutely fuming mad at me after 3 days of debate. They gave up. Like, Jim, we just don't want to debate you anymore. They thought I was basically an asshole but they knew I was right. They're like, you're right, but we don't like it. We don't like that you're right. Like, it was funny. Like, I mean, honestly, because the way I took my position was, I'm right and you're wrong. You should just give up because I can tell you why I'm right. And they would get mad at me. Like, literally, there were students mad at me. One of the students goes, well, people like to write stuff down so much, they should have some way of writing stuff down. When we ship the product, there should be Post-it notes glued to the back. I'm like, okay, if that's to make you sleep well at night, ship it with Post-it notes. Hey, the brand new iPhone 24 comes with, bang, Post-it notes. Slap that on the back there, right? Come on, dude. It's like Flex You. We slap some Post-it notes in the back of your... But yeah, I'm the inventor of your smartphone, dude. I'm the brains behind Steve Jobs, and hope you're enjoying this talk. We're just talking about trust. As we're talking about trust, I spaced this video up in a couple of segments because sometimes my phone goes down. I'm not only allowed to have internet. I'm politically oppressed in America. I don't know if you know, there's people who are called cancel culture. I'm one of them. I'm on an official list. I get banned on social media pretty easily. I got banned on Facebook for saying terrorism is evil. Hassan's over there saying to do terrorism and how they kill people. And he gets millions of dollars. Why does Hassan get millions of dollars and Voices of Peace like myself get censored, right? YouTube won't let me be seen. I'll have a video, gets 10,000 views in one day. Yeah, I was seen by the #1 guy on Twitch, Tyler1 at the time. I made a parody video of League of Legends, it was seen on a stream and everybody comes see my video on YouTube, but then I got basically no organic views since. Why am I oppressed on YouTube, censored? Why did they ban me off of Twitch? Why did I lose my job for saying terrorism is evil? Why did I get banned off of Reddit? Well, one of my friends said the mods were talking about ways to sham ban you, a fake reason to ban you. That's what liberals do. They will find a fake way to get rid of you. They will exclude you. DEI, the word exclude, discriminate everyone's identity, that's exclusion. That's not, didn't earn it like Scott Adams would say. That's exclusion. The DEI is exclusion. 50,000 people who are Christian and conservative never got the first chance to work despite going to top universities in America. And top universities in America are the top universities in the world. Our K through 12 used to be the top university in the world until the Department of Education came around and screwed it up on purpose, sabotage. Talk about No Child Gets Ahead Act, standardized testing where we test our whole range of our bell curve of IQ against their high IQ because they don't send their low IQ to school. They send them to pottery barns, steel mills, and uranium mines, because they don't care about the low IQ people. Might as well get them out of the system. They're just slowing stuff down. So so we're testing our whole IQ spectrum. We're letting even low IQ people choose what they want to do for a living. But over there, only their high IQ tests. So, the Department of Education said, well, it's valid to test our full bell curve against their top IQ people and somehow get relevant data out of that. I think it was Mark Twain that said, lies, damn lies, and statistics. Yeah, you got your education sabotaged by the Department of Education. Sorry to tell you that. I'm one of the last educated generations. And of the last educated generations, I might be the most educated person in America. A lot of people think I'm the smartest person who's ever lived in the last couple 100 or 1,000 years. Yeah, I will say Jesus is smarter than me, but once again, we're triggering your trust. Trust me. And that's why we got to this, right? Even though I can say I beat IQ exams, senseless, invented math on the fly, did rocket science in 1 second in my head. 1 second, freaking, that's a lie right there. I just missaid a word. Seconds, minutes, what's the difference? I did rocket science, and I think it was in 1 minute. It took 1 minute to do rocket science questions, and my peers were taking 5 hours and not getting it right. I did 20 rocket science questions, banged them out in 20 minutes. The IQ examiner, where I invented new maths in 5 minutes and answered 30 questions, looked at me with fear. They're afraid of IQ. Intelligence makes people afraid, dude. I don't know if you've ever noticed it. Intelligence makes people afraid. And when I did 20 rocket science in 20 minutes and my peers were taking 5 hours and they're afraid they weren't going to get done, they looked at me in fear, right? So intelligence provokes fear, and the more you talk, the more a relationship goes sour. So, intelligent people have a lot to say, so I guess we have relationship problems. But like, long story short, do you trust me? Can I do the Groucho Marx thing? I can't. Why would you trust someone who can't do the Groucho Marx eyebrow thing? Let's just stop. Dude, I did it for a second. Boom. Anyway, long story short, I'm making some outrageous claims here. I got outrageous claims for days that are true. I don't really want to say them. Some people know me and my gaming prowess. I'll say that. I don't want to say what I've actually done in gaming and be like, that sounds absurd. That sounds absurd. You start saying some stuff that's provable but absurd. Then we got into, why will people trust you if you say, hey, look, I've been number one in a video game. You show them your card. Like, oh, you've been number one in the world at StarCraft, Brood War, and Warcraft 3. Well, they're RTSs. I guess so. They'll accept it at face value. They'll look it up on Battle.net and history sites. Well, I verified it on Battle.net. I verified on history sites. Sorry about the jump cuts in this. Like my good old camera is bad video, right? Cuts, limited storage, and like I said, Comcast cut me off internet, right? So I can't really just join the Scott Adams after party talks easily. I can't do a lot of stuff on the internet easily because I am literally cut off from being able to talk on the internet. It's not just YouTube canceling me. It's not just Amazon banning me from my job by saying terrorism evil. Reddit also says I'm too American to be on their site. I got banned for being too American. Twitter said that was hate speech when I said everybody should love each other. So God is love, Jesus loves you, everybody should love each other. That's hate speech. Twitter did a Christian calling at one point, and we all shut up on Parler. We started talking loving on Parler, so Apple had to say, we have to shut Parler down because free speech is for Nazis. Free speech empowers Nazis. And we just crushed Christians. I never saw anything hateful there. I was talking, sharing recipe sites and talking about cats and God, But don't let the news, get stand in the way of news lying, Amazon Amazon bans me from the job, and Amazon takes me off of social media again. It's like I get censored everywhere. I don't even have high speed internet, dude. America is not for Americans anymore. If you speak for the truth, speak for love, you will get banned and pushed off the internet, right? So we're talking about me being number one in the world of video games. So what? That's an accomplishment. It does take some intellectual ability to be number one in video games. Like, what is it? Chess Masters, right? Chess Masters, known to be a big brain. I think it was Kasparov or something over there in Russia was given a position in I don't know if it was Kasparov. It was one of the Russians who got a position in government because he was good at chess. That guy's smart. Let's let him run the government. Now, StarCraft, if you know, takes more intellect than chess. It's a more intellectually demanding game. Chess is basically solved at this point. You just run it through a computer, and it'll win every time. So if you want to learn chess, just play all the computer moves to get advantage, and then boom, figure you'll win from there. Well, you don't always win when you can take that first piece advantage. Sometimes the board matters, but not often. Getting off topic. I just say number one roll some games, right? It says I'm intellect, But after a while, and then we're gonna roll it back in. After a while, invented the smartphone. LLM knew the future of lithium-ion cars. Number one, they wrote all these video games, and you start telling them some other stuff. I can tell you how they invent self-replicating robots. You just take the camera away from it. The camera's off-site. Camera uses OpenCV to see where the robot is, kind of like the Dark Crystal guy with the eye. Pulls it out, moves it around. Take the camera off. Now you use ferromagnetic material. If you land on a planet and use ferromagnetic material, you can make robots because what's not ferromagnetic can be used as the chassis as metal, melt together, smelt together with some heat, and then spin up a wire with the ferromagnetic material. Now you have engines, you have generators. And since the CPU and the cameras are off-site, CPU protected in the landing module, nuclear porta nukes there, maybe deploy some solar panels, you're just making new robots. And then that's called the seed. The landing and deploying is the seed. Root is when you start making your first robots by dragging regolith into a smelter. Smelter just heats it up. When you start making a couple of robots, that's the sprout. And then bloom is when you send another rocket full of CPUs and cameras around the area so those they can expand more, because you can only have so many robots on so many cameras and CPUs. But you can take over the whole Mars, Phobos, Deimos, Mercury, whatever planetoid. It turns out the most terraformed planetoid has nothing to do if it's like Earth-like anymore. It has to do if it has good sun and has ferromagnetic material, which Mars has. Mars is the red planet. Iron. Yep, it was meant to be terraformed. Cover that thing in metal. Make it all metal, and we live underground and pipe the sun in, and we have recreation rooms with plants and low gravity and all sorts of fun. Yeah, it's kind of fun repopulating an entire planet. Hey. Oh, also, this one gets people. Low gravity means no back pain for women who are overly endowed. Yep, so instead of sending the women who are thin, because although they weigh less to get to Mars, we want to send the busty girls. Let's send all the overly busty women to Mars. Now do you want to get to Mars, guys? Woo-hoo! But it's a fact, they won't have back pain. Pretty cool. I think before we get to Mars, we're going to get to the moon. And they'll find out what I said here is true. They'll send some busty women up there and they'll be like, I don't want to go back to Earth. I bounce around pretty well up here. And people are like, oh my God, I need to get to the moon yesterday. Yep, guys, the future is looking good if we can get off this little rock here and get to smaller rocks so the babes can bring the bigger melons. All right, enough with the perv talk, but it's scientific perv talk. Trustability. Trust me? You trust me? Just number one on the road at video game. Smartphone. Made LLM. Knew the future of lithium-ion car. Has a bunch of stuff in his back pocket he didn't even tell us. That sounds incredible. But with proof, people will agree with one of them. With proof, people might go, hey, you know what, maybe two. 3, 4, 5 is like, Jim, you're running your mouth. You're a bullshitter. Despite seeing proof for everyone along the way. Now, some people do believe it. Some people believe it so much they think I know everything. Some people go, yeah, Jim knows the shit. And we go to the Big Mig show. Lance and George, they're good Italian guys, man. You should go watch the Big Mig show on Rumble, 11 a.m. Frickin' the best political show out there. Mel K's good, too. Mel K is very intelligent. She knows I know my stuff. Dr. Drew knows I know my stuff. So these podcasters are very intelligent. No, I'm very intelligent, but some think I should know current events. How would this play out, Jim? I don't know the current event. George Lance, guys, you're giving me too much credit, right? So it either goes two ways of absolute and utter trust, because I'm like a super Einstein. I'm like the Dr. Light. There'll never be another Einstein. Yeah, but there'll be one way smarter than Einstein. Do you trust me? It doesn't matter if you trust me or not. The fact is, you can see in yourself, there's something going on. Hey, this guy did tell me some stuff. I did verify it, may or may not verified it. Talks a good game. And then you start to it's a gut feeling. It's like the detective show. My gut doesn't feel it, right? That's because it's tied to fight or flight. Now we're going to get to the meat and potatoes of the conversation. Trust in your brain comes from a primal instinct to survive, right? Talked about it earlier. It's fear related, right? And if it's arguing against your logic center of your brain, this all makes sense. But this is supposed to override it all makes sense, because if someone's a fast talker bringing in a con game, you need to make sure you don't put your guard down and die. Islam's coming to kill you. Islam's coming to kill us all. Every Islam person is a terrorist. They might pretend they're not, or they might not be themselves. But how many? I'll do a math question for you. 1,000 peaceful protesters come to a rally. One throws a rock, becomes a violent protester. How many peaceful protesters are left out of the 1,000 after one throws a rock? I'll give you a second to think about that. And the answer is 0. Why is that? Because the one guy throwing a rock's hiding amongst the ones that are peaceful. They're using the peaceful ones as guards. You go get that violent one, maybe they'll turn violent. Maybe you can't find the violent one. Maybe they won't know who it is. I'm Spartacus, right? So Islam, while a majority of them do want the world destroyed and do want to follow the Quran of killing and raping people, some are just Muslims because they're afraid if they're not Muslim, the other Muslims will kill them. Muslims of fear. They're afraid the other ones will kill them. So yeah, I'm a Muslim, and they try and do good and everything and what they think's right, but at the same time, they don't want to follow the Quran. They just want to pretend like they are because if they don't, they'll be killed. It's an impression of. It's kind of like how communism works. They tell you what to do, but you do what you think you should do. In between, and unless you get seen, right? Oh, anyway, so Islam is tyranny of fear. It always has been from the very beginning, and people are trusting it. So you're killing not just yourself, you're killing your fellow countrymen when you vote Democrat, because all Islamic senators, all Islamic mayors, and so forth and so on, they're all Democrat. Scott Adams had a quest to destroy the Democratic Party. We said earlier, the Democratic Party is World Economic Forum. World Economic Forum is Hitler Youth grown up, bankers, the CCP, which is the Chinese Communist Party, that's been around since Mao. Mao eliminated traditional Chinese culture, right? For 4,000 years, whatever you want to say, China has been about, the style of Confucianism, the style of Lao Tzu. Well, they came after Chinese culture fully developed to some degree. They're the motivators or the compilers of the Chinese culture is Confucius and Mao, right? Confucius will say stuff like, man is best governed with no governance without having to be governed, right? Stuff like that, right? And then Mao's like, we must govern you hard. It's like this is not a true Confucius quote, but it goes along the lines of thinking. It's a man who does what he wants to do for a living, never has to work a day in his life. And I don't believe that's a Confucius quote. I believe it's been attributed to Confucius, but it's not a Confucius quote, but it's things Confucius would say. He's very folksy, very about nature and harmony, right? Not about state control. So think about that. If man does what he wants to do for a living, never has to work a day in life, what's communism say? Well, you need to work in that steel mill. Well, I want to be a coal miner. We don't care. The guy, you work in a coal mine. I want to be a steel mill worker. We don't care. Work in that coal mine. The guy's like, I want to be a dancer. And you're like, you're in the army. Right? Communism is about control, about the government controlling you. Don't think. Okay, so communism comes in, he steals from the people and rewards their followers. So it feels really good when communism comes in. Everybody gets a bunch of stuff, but then no one produces more stuff. You know what I'm saying? No one produces more stuff. No one wants to produce. You hear traditionally in school they'll say people are lazy because whatever you work for just goes to everybody. But that's not the root of communism. The root of communism comes in, you take people's stuff, stealing, right? And then the common people are all equal, except this one guy who distributes goods. And if he doesn't distribute goods, the common people get mad and they want to rise up. So the guy needs secret police to make sure they never rise up, right? So the leader fears the people fear the leader, people fear the secret police, leader fears the secret police fears the leader, people, and the secret police. Let's say you work for the secret police. You see a citizen stepping out of bounds. Like he just stubbed his toe and he's like, I freaking hate Stalin. Why do you make me do this? And you're like, citizen, man, I know you stubbed your toe. So we're going to have to send you to the re-education center. Like, no, don't send me. And you'd be like, in your heart, you'd be like, I don't want to send this guy to the re-education center. He obviously just stowed his toe and said a blurt. But if I don't send the re-education center right now, and another secret police saw me let him off, I will go to the re-education center as well. Secret police fear the other secret police so much that secret police will do bad things to people regularly in fear of other secret police or the people. Just telling them what he just did. Yeah, communism. Hey, they have happiness officers in communism? Let's all be happy together, because if you're frowning all together, it's a sign of solidarity, of revolt. So they will come in your village and make sure you're happy. Otherwise, you go to the re-education center. You will own nothing and be happy. Let's revamp who's in the World Economic Forum. Klaus Schwab and Yuval Harari. Yuval Harari is a eugenicist. He's a guy who thinks he owns your body and your kids, and he can give you any bioterrorism he wants. He can edit your DNA. He thinks he owns you. These guys think they're in charge of the world. So you got those would be your Hitler Youth, German Nazis. Not necessarily Yuval, but Klaus. Then, well, okay, the members of the Real Economic Forum, if you don't look them up, German Nazis, CCP we just talked about, Muslims, South American drug lords, bankers, international bankers, the really rich one has trillions, and some random billionaires. Oh, we got some CEOs. A lot of them are of American corporation CEOs. Google, Apple, Amazon, they're not looking out for you. Reddit, owned by the CCP, Tencent. Rigged Chinese video games. You ever hear about like League of Legends is rigged? That's a Chinese video game. It's rigged. They have social credit score, patents on that shit, right? So you know the players that are fighting against America right now. Real Economic Forum. You can read some Real Economic Forum, watch the videos. They call him Dr. Evil, Klaus Schwab. He just says his plans out loud, like we wouldn't like notice it. So back on track, trust. Okay, do you trust me as an American who was raised like punk skateboarder, play video games and stuff? Or do you trust the global Nazis who bribed the Democratic Party to destroy us from the inside? That's why Scott Adams was against the Democratic Party. Democratic Party espouses all the Nazi principles. I don't have my notes right now. We said earlier they don't like the Christians and Jews. They will censor Christians and Jews. Papers, please, for traveling, kick you out of the university if you don't agree. They will yell over top you. They'll brown shirt you. It goes on. It's 1210. It's the Nazi Party. All of them, the Democrats hold because they're taking money from the Nazis. Well, why was television, movies, music so much better in the 90s and 80s? Because it's a culture war. Destroy our culture, destroy our TV, destroy our Saturday Night Live, destroy our movies, lie to us on the news. And all of a sudden, we're a divided culture. We're having fun, right? That's why they censor people like me, voice like me. Hey, this guy knows what's going on. Just get him out of here. Let's virtually Pol Pot this man. Let's have a weekend in Cambodia. Right? I would love to have the Scott Adams after party talks. It's just too much. It's too much to even get on the internet anymore for me. Right? So we'll wrap it up in trust. Trust is not always logic based. Well, that's a little weird. Hold on. Looks like I'm ready to go in for a kiss on the camera, dude. I'm like new to this camera angle shit, and that scared me. I wouldn't trust me. This man ran a game so I could lean in and steal a kiss off the camera. Frickin' A, dude. Game over. No trust of Jim at all. Dude, right? At this point, I don't trust myself, right? Hey. Anyway. Excuse me while I kissed this guy. Oh, my God. So trust is logic a lot. When it doesn't pass the smell test, the doubt comes in, the fear comes in. That's why I can control a bunch of people with fear, because they won't want to listen to people. That guy's a white supremacist. It's like, dude, I lived with you 40 years. You're my family. Why are you listening to TV? You have dangerous thinking, Jim. What? What are you even talking about? We're playing cards. Can I just exist? Why'd you vote for Trump? I didn't vote for Trump in 2016. Lay off me, man. My family just owed me. Yeah, it's pretty cool. That was the only thing that really mattered in my life. Lost it all, man. Like dozens of people. Christmas, Thanksgiving, New Year's. Going up the lake. Birthdays. Special occasions, weddings. I don't got that anymore, man. The news said to disown your family. And they've done that before World War II, right? Excuse me. I'm not acting here. It's been a while since I got to hang out with my fam. And it's because the news. This is the news. The news is lying. This says I'm dangerous. Dude, I have black family on the one side and the other. I got one of my black friends, a job in a scientific research facility, meeting him in a gutter trash redneck bar. I'm not racist. I've been with a band called The Traditionals, very good band, skinhead band against racism. We'd smoke up reefer back when I smoked back in college, and listen to Bob Marley as they jammed out a skinhead jam, right? They play with the Dropkick Murphys, the Traditionals. They're a very good band. Very good band. And they're against racism. Back in 99, there really wasn't racism. So I was like, why do you have skins against racism? Because the only last place racism was around is in the skin part. So we're doing our job to have the Nazis get stopped. And there's fights in the mosh pit, punches and stuff were thrown, shit, people got hurt, but it was fighting against Nazism. I mean, fighting against racism. Like, so if I took such a hardcore stance against racism my entire life, never been a racist my entire life, why would they call me a white supremacist and a racist then? It doesn't make sense. The left doesn't make sense. Like, all these agendas the left comes from, none of them make sense. They're coming from China, and they don't make sense. Like, men can have babies, and abortion's a good thing, and what I mean, they say weird shit, man. I mean, I can't even get into the weirder shit they say. Oh, like white milk just encourages white supremacy. I'm like, okay, China, like, the agendas you're pushing in America, they should not pass the trust. They shouldn't pass the trust muster of anybody. It's like we're living in a badly dubbed Godzilla movie of what they're trying to push, right? So, but it works because what's called a hoax funnel. Okay, you lie to so many times, so many different ways, it pushes you towards a conclusion, right? Even if you discover one of the two of the lies, the other lies are wrapped around it. It keeps you in that funnel, right? Only if you get told a lie and you sit down and you pull that lie apart and you sit down in your own room on your own time and you say, well, this doesn't fit because this is based on that lie. This is based on the lie. Logic is a bunch of cubes stacked on top of each other. You pull this one away, this side's going to section. If there's like a thing here that's going to tilt over and fall off too, right? Then all that topples over here, right? That's how a logical mind thinks. Aristotle says, don't accept everything you're told is true. Don't accept everything you're told is true. Be a critical thinker, think for yourself, right? Test it, right? And that's how you do it. But most people don't sit down and think for themselves. Most people just want to be told how to think. Most people want to be said, hey, a smart person told me this, so I'm going to say, I'm going to echo it and be smart. And that's not how it works. That's what dumb parrots do. Right? You think the parrot's the smart guy? I mean, some pirate movie says, and you're not going to get your ass kicked if you go down there. Shut up, Polly. I should have listened to Polly. Oh my God. Anyway, trust, man. Trust. None of this stuff, like, the agendas out there don't make sense, so why are you following them? And Scott Evans said, now here we go. I said, the smartest person once said, and don't listen to once. I'm going against my own thing, but I'm going to explain why we just explained why the funnel brings you there, because people are thinking, let lies drag them to positions they shouldn't be in, right? And they should be logical thinkers, and that's what we're going to tie it all together. Now, because people aren't being logical thinkers, because they're allowing their emotion to take hold, it overrides the logic circuits in their brain. So it's like they don't use logic at all. And, cool heads prevail and logical thinkers prevail. But when they're yelling brown shirting terms, when they're being paid to be disingenuous, there's something called protestitute. It's an Urban Dictionary term I coined. Protestitute or protestitute, right? You're being paid to protest. Now, they're being paid by foreign countries to destroy our country, right? They're literally treasonous and traitors, right? So they'll yell slogans and stuff. They don't believe it for shit. But I mean, sometimes when they repeat a lie long enough, you believe it. Called the big lie. That's why you should be repeating the truth a lot. But I just want to let you know that I discovered, and I validated by doing a little bit of research, that doubt isn't just logical. Doubt is also emotional. Doubt's emotional because it ties into the fight or flight response. And so now you know the whole reason why doubt isn't all logical. And I want to finish up with some more brain computer analogies from Carnegie Mellon. Why I'm going to explain beauty to you, why something's beautiful to some degree. Okay, in Carnegie Mellon, we know about brain having memory. We know that having clock cycles, how fast you think. If you listen to fast music, you'll do more actions. If you go to sleep, listen to them, Barry Manilow. We're going to fall asleep now. We're going to watch maybe an old 70s nature show where they just show the deer flow across the stream and the stream run across the plains. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're watching some slow stuff. It'll slow your brain down. A person talking really fast, get your brain jumping, Listen to fast music, systems down, Listen to some Offspring, you'll be like, yeah, let's go. You listen to slow music, you'll be like, Time to sleep. Because that's your clock cycles. You got memory, clock cycles, and you got processes. If you're a one-track mind, you tend to do better in life. I mean, it's just something. It's just funny to say, but like you live longer when you have less stress because if you like mopping the floor while the stove's on and you have to do a schedule later on today, you're using all these processes to track them. If you're just mopping the floor, you're chilling out, right? So if you're doing all the things and someone goes, hey, I need someone to carry someone in the car, but I'm washing the stove and I have to do this later on. And then people explode on you. They're exploding on you because they're multitasking. It's a good time to just leave them alone and do that. You don't want to really engage someone that's busy at all. You walk into a store, you want to make friends with them. If they're counting money, just don't even say hi. Wait until they're done doing their thing, right? But multitaskers can't accept more. They're doing the limit of what they can do, right? So you got memory, clock cycle, how fast it goes, and your process, how many things you're doing at once. It's generally good to do one. Okay, we go into a fourth one. Fourth brain concept of computer vision. Camouflage. Camouflage works on people. Like you have a chameleon, you can't see the chameleon. Just like it works on computer vision, you can't see the chameleon. If there's a big orange ball in the middle of the room, the person's like, there's a big orange ball in the middle of the room. AI is like, a big orange ball in the middle of the room. Now, if the room is full of trash and the ball is barely seen, the person might not see it. AI might not see it. Clutter and camouflage makes things hard to see. A bunch of trash in the room just looks ugly to the person. Even if the trash isn't stinky or anything, doesn't have anything smelly in it. That's not pleasant to look at, trash, If you go into the woods and it's all jaggers everywhere, entanglement and everything, you're like, oh, that's nasty. I don't want to be in there, right? But if it's in large plains, nice farmland, a couple even fence post rows around, you're like, that's beautiful. Because as we were saying with doubt before, the emotion part is fight or flight. You're concerned with survival. When you walk into a new area, you have to assess threat in the area, and your brain does it subconsciously. If you can't assess threat, it has this like doubt. It's calculated. I don't want to assess this threat. It's too hard to assess this threat. There might be something bad in there. I might step on something nasty. Something might be hidden on it. There might be like a snake in there, right? All that doubt that you don't think about is tinging you. That's why a trash room just doesn't look good. A room that's all open and wide space is nice. Feng Shui, well, 99% bullshit. There is a part where making your rooms have open areas is a lower stress hit. So having a lower stress hit makes you live longer. So your house should have wide open walking spaces. Should be beautiful to look at. This fjords, the big long thing, they're beautiful too. Let me stop for a second. The fjord's beautiful because you see it go out and it's like a pattern, long sweeping. Anything your brain can identify really fast is beautiful because your threat assessment happens immediately. You see a cave, well, there might be something in a cave. All beautiful and there's a cave. Well, that's still beautiful and you just avoid that cave because there's something jump out at you. It's threat assessment, fight or flight, right? You're in those jaggers we said were ugly earlier. Well, because jaggers, it's painful if you had to jump out of the way of something, and something can leap out anywhere because you can't see anything. That's why it's a threat assessment. When you can identify something, large swaths of colors are beautiful. Look at a butterfly. It's large swaths of color. It's quite enjoyable, quite easy to identify a butterfly. There you go. Beauty, in a way, a large part of it is being able to identify something quite easily without it being indiscernible from other things. You want to have a beautiful face, a beautiful body, try and make it even. They say symmetry, but try and make it large swath. After that Mars talk earlier, Jim, that's bad form. No, you try and make yourself like easy to discern, right? People have, I hate this. This is gonna get into disgusting stuff, but let's not talk about anything disgusting. But like if you get in shape, let's say you get in shape, your body's even and like discernible, right? You got muscle that looks solid, and whereas overweight people, it's all goes everywhere. It's like everywhere. They're everywhere, right? That's the fight or flight response of your brain. Beauty is quite, as we say it. Well, beauty's beauty, man. There's some stuff of it where it's not going to be calculated by. We're not going to get it from. We're not going to get everything about beauty just from from math and science. We have a consciousness. And that's what separates us from AI, is that we're real people. We have real souls and stuff. So there's an element of everything that we're not going to solve, but what we can solve, we talk about. It's large swaths, fight or flight, and fight or flight assessment ties back into why doubt is a fight or flight assessment that goes against logic. Hope you enjoyed my talks. I have many more on YouTube at Good News Jim. Good News Jim as well on Rumble. I have lots of talks everywhere. You guys just have to dig. Have a good one, guys. And God bless. Love is the way. If you don't have love, you got nothing.